Hey, I haven't been back in a while, just because I've been going through some shit, and I just wanted to tell you about my most recent pile of shit that I've gone through. And, this is now Sunday, it started last Friday, pardon me, when I was, it was like late, like maybe 10 o'clock, which isn't really late, but it's late to eat. And sorry if this is wiggly, I'm holding it. Let me just take you somewhere else where I can put you down. So it was late last Friday, and I made a bag of popcorn because I really wanted some. Hang on. Get some lights on. Okay. Is that I should have maybe thought of this before I started, but we're just gonna go with it. That's gonna fall. Okay. Yeah. We'll just. Sorry, you're bobbly as heck. So last Friday, I made a bag of popcorn, and it was fine. It was like the very last piece of popcorn that I was gonna eat. I got a piece stuck in my throat. And I like tried to gargle. I thought maybe I got it out because I didn't feel it again, and I didn't feel it Saturday or Sunday, so I thought nothing of it. And then Monday I got to work. So wiggly. Monday I got to work, and the second I opened my mouth to talk, it like really hurt, like in here. And so I really roughed it out Monday. It hurt all day. It felt like a little knife was like jabbing me in the throat all day. So then Monday night I went home and I got in the shower, and I took a little cup with me, and I was filling up water in the little cup, and I was gargling it, and I was going like gargling it as far back as I could, because it felt like it was down farther than I could reach with like a finger or something. So I actually felt it like hit my lip on the way out, and I was like, okay, I think this is all out. It kind of still felt sore, but not to the point where I felt like anything was in there. Then I got to work the next day, which was now Tuesday, and it kind of still felt like something sharp. I wasn't sure if it was just really irritated from being in there for that many days, or if I had left like a piece in there. So luckily where I work, there's an ear, nose, and throat doctor on the third floor. So that afternoon at like 2 o'clock, I went upstairs to see the ear, nose, and throat doctor, and I really hadn't ever been to see one for something like this before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. Well, during that time, he, without giving me like any knowledge, like he wasn't going to tell me ahead of time, he was just doing it and being like I would keep opening my mouth because I'm thinking, okay, it's in my throat, that's what you want. And he's like, no, close your mouth. And then he shot some lidocaine up my nose, down into my throat, and I was like, okay, that's alright, whatever. I didn't notice that he put a different tip on. It looked like it was the same tip that was on there, so I don't know if they just cleaned the same tip because it's not super, like you can't catch anything from somebody else super easily, or I don't know. But I'm pretty sure it was the same tip, so that was kind of gross, but I didn't say anything because I just wanted it taken care of. So that went down my nose, and then he put a Q-tip that was like, I'm holding you in one hand now, so it's hard to, it was like this long, up that same nose, and let me sit for like 5 minutes. And then he took me over to the procedure room, and he took a camera, and I opened my mouth again. He said no, and then he put it down my nose again, and I was like, I felt kind of dumb, but I was like, well, it's not like I've done this before. I've never got popcorn stuck like here in my throat before, or needed to have it cammed at all. So he took pictures, and he showed me that it was down near my vocal cords, and that's why it was really sore, because it was deep and it's not like a place I could really get to take it out. That's why the gargling deeply worked better. So anyway, I was like, okay, well, at least you could tell everything's out. He gave me a copy of the pictures. There's a big red scratch, like, in 2 places on the inside. And, but he said it would be fine, just let it heal. So then the next day, we're now on Wednesday, I go into work in the morning, and it's really still sore. It's not as, like, stabby sore, but it's, like, kind of really badly sore throat sore. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm getting a cold or whatever, but I also really don't have much of a voice. And where I work, you can't not have a voice because you talk to people all day. So one of my beautiful coworkers was like, well, why don't we switch desks, because you won't have to talk as much over here. So we did that, and then around like 10:30, 11 o'clock, all of a sudden I couldn't breathe, and like my throat had closed up, and to try to breathe, it was like that, but loud and piercing. And like, but the first one wasn't too loud because I wasn't, I guess, panic hadn't set in yet, and I guess that makes it worse. And I still had like breath in me, I still had oxygen. So I looked over to my coworker, and my eyes must have been like this big, and I tried again to breathe, and like a loud whistle sound came out of my face, and she looked at me, and she looked like so panicked, and she jumped up out of the seat when I went, like, I was going like this, like, I can't breathe, except I couldn't say anything. Went from having like no voice to literally no voice. I couldn't get anything out. So she ran back to one of the doctors, and they're eye doctors, so it's not like they have been trained to deal with someone whose throat is closing. But luckily, with the help of a couple of people, like her and the one technician and the one doctor, like, they really kind of saved my life in a literal way. And so I thank them so much for that. So I followed her. And one of my coworkers, when I went back to work, was like, that was kind of dumb for you to follow her. I was like, yeah, I know, but I was panicked, and just shut the fuck up, because I almost died, so I don't need to hear that. So they hooked me up to the oxygen, and they called the ambulance. And that's where this all started to get kind of nuts, because, well, not started. This is where it really started to get crazy on, like, the medical provider's behalf, because so far my doctor had done a really good job for me running and getting me the oxygen tank and hooking me up and keeping an eye on me, while one of my supervisors was calling the ambulance. They were asking her all these questions, and she was like, I don't know, she can't breathe. And they were asking her like, I don't know, dumb questions, and she'd be like, I don't know, she can't breathe, just send somebody. So eventually they came. It was like a half hour later that they came, the ambulance, and they got me switched over from our oxygen to their oxygen, and put me in the back, and they were asking me all kinds of questions. And mind you, I still don't have a voice, because when your throat closes, you don't have a voice. I was very weak from not being able to breathe, and so I was just trying to do my best, and they were like, the one guy was really nice. The one guy was kind of a dick. Like, you know what else is really bad besides popcorn? Doritos. People get those pointy Doritos stuck in their throat all the time. I'm like, that's not helping me. Can you move your fucking ass and get me to the hospital? Like, instead of standing here talking to me about Doritos stationarily in the fucking driveway where I'm dying, maybe you can get me to the hospital and get me some help. So we finally, like, got going, and he took the longest, slowest fucking way around. Like, you'd think they would have some sort of urgency with it, like, they would want to get me there and make sure that I'm okay, but no, they just, like, and keep in mind, driving, it's, like, not even 5 minutes from where I work to the hospital, and it took them, like, 15 minutes. So they parked me in a hallway in a stretcher, they unplugged my oxygen and took the fuck off. And they didn't plug me back into some oxygen. and I could kind of breathe, but it still wasn't anything good where I was getting like a lot of oxygen into my body, like enough to keep myself living. Like it was just enough, and to the point where I was alive and not screaming because I couldn't get any air in my passageway. It was still incredibly swollen. So I'm laying there in the hallway without anybody having like come to hook me up on oxygen or anything. Like, I'm gonna fucking die here if these people don't get their shit together. So I saw a nurse, because I can't yell for anybody, keep in mind. I have zero voice. That's all that would come out. It was like little, like, shrill squeaks if I tried to speak, and they were not intelligible. So I couldn't yell for a nurse because it's not like they put me in a room already, and I had like one of those like bells that you can push on to get people to come to your room. So I waited for the next hospital person that I could find to walk by and be like, "Are you gonna hook me up to oxygen so I can breathe again?" She was like, "Oh my god, who dropped you off?" And I was like, "I don't even really know. Can you give me some oxygen so I can like live?" So they went and they got me some oxygen. Not right away. They had to like do some other bullshit first because the bureaucracy is more important, I guess. So they had me like fill out. No, I didn't have to fill out any forms. Luckily, they just had to have me sign some shit, and they put the wristband on my arm, and then they wheeled me over to the triage section where they gave me my oxygen back. Well, it was a lot better when I had the oxygen. So, and then they admitted me almost like 2 hours later, I'd say. They actually admitted me to like a room, and they gave me an x-ray on my chest, and then the doctor came and was like, "Well, why the hell did they give you an x-ray on your chest? Your problem is in your throat, not your chest." So then they sent me back to the x-ray place, and I had to go through it all over again. And I was very weak feeling because I guess even a couple of seconds without any like decent oxygen really just fucks with your entire body. So I was in there for 6 hours or 7 hours or something like that. And towards the very end, they gave me a steroid breathing treatment, and that tasted like shit, but I guess it helped. And I was supposed to be supervised the whole time, I think, because the guy was standing there and he was singing. It was kind of annoying because it wasn't like a song that I knew and could be like, oh, jamming, or a song like, I don't know. And then he left for a minute, and I was like, well, this is fucked. What if I have an allergic reaction to this? And then he came back and finished it, and then they said that I could leave, and they gave me a steroid pill there, but nothing to take home with me in case it happened again. And I was so scared it was going to happen again that night. It was really hard. I still couldn't talk, and it was still hard for me to breathe, but it was better. And so I got home, and somebody that I knew was having a very like why me kind of day, I guess, because they were like, at least you'll get over your thing. I'm never gonna heal with something like a disorder that they have. And I was like, you don't have better timing, bro. I could have like literally died today, and you're talking how I'm going to heal from this. Could you at least give me 5 seconds? What the fuck is your problem? Like, I don't understand some people. Like, even if you're thinking that to yourself, like, I'm sure you've had a bad day where someone else has also had like a worse day and you want to complain. Like, I'm sure I wanted to complain and been like, I should maybe hold off on this because that person has been through the ringer today. Like, that would be the day to hold your fucking comment and like, or address it to someone else and not to me, because any other day I'd care, but right now you can like, what are you even doing to me? Like, why are you making me worry about your problems when I literally can't breathe? So it was still really hard to breathe and speak for the next like day or two, like all of Wednesday, most of Thursday, and then I started with a cold right on top of it. So I don't know if it's from that doctor not having like covers for the stuff that he puts in your nose, or if I caught it at the hospital, or if I was just gonna get it anyway. But that today, like I said, today is Sunday. I'm starting to feel kind of over it. Like Friday, or I went back to work on Friday. I was feeling a little like blah, especially toward the end of the day. And then Saturday, I spent most of my day down here just like watching YouTube and chilling and relaxing. And then today I tried to go upstairs, and that same why me person was like, why don't you go clean? And I'm like, why don't you realize that I can't breathe? So I mean, I'm feeling pretty decent today. I still have a little bit of a cold, but it's a lot better. And I think within a couple of days I should be okay. But I just really like, of course, anybody but me that would not happen to. Only me, I think. If that's ever happened to anybody else, I'd be really surprised. So that was my life this week. How was yours?